This is Jupiter Today for the 9th of December 2014. Jupiter Today is a daily podcast focusing attention on the dynamic Jupiter system for the purpose of monitoring activity. The position of Jupiter on the celestial sphere at 0 hours UTC is a right ascension of 9 hours, 40 minutes, 6.6 seconds, and a declination of positive 14 degrees, 45 minutes, 47.4 seconds. The angular separation between the Sun and Jupiter, as seen from Earth today, is 114.187 degrees, and that's 1.014 degrees greater than yesterday. The distance between Earth and Jupiter today is 723,015,220 kilometers. And that's 242,147,779 kilometers closer than yesterday. And that puts a relative velocity between Earth and Jupiter, with them moving towards one another, at a velocity of 89,490.79 kilometers per hour. You can see that most of that motion is due to the motion of the Earth. That velocity is slowing down at an ever-increasing rate, and over the past 24 hours, it has slowed down 676.59 kilometers per hour. The central meridian at 0 hours UTC, CM1, 22.63 degrees, CM2, 133.62 degrees, and CM3, 26.26 degrees. At 0 hours UTC, Io begins the day in quadrant 2, heading west. Europa also starts the day in quadrant 2, heading west. Europa, of course, is further out than Io, about twice as far out. Ganymede starts the day in quadrant 3, heading west. And Callisto starts the day also in quadrant 3, heading west, very near its western elongation. At 6 hours UTC, Io and Europa are both in transit of Jupiter. And I'll talk a little bit about this a little bit later. But now they're both going to be in quadrant 3, heading west. By 12 hours UTC, Io is in quadrant 3, heading west. Europa is also in quadrant 3, heading west. You can see how close in proximity they appear to be from our point of view. 1800 hours UTC. Io has just passed its western elongation and is now in quadrant 4, heading east. And by 0 hours UTC tomorrow, Io is in quadrant 4, heading west. Europa is near its western elongation, and both Ganymede and Callisto have passed their western elongation and are now both in quadrant 4, heading west. There were 8 Jupiter satellite events. The first at 1:34 UTC, when Europa's shadow ingresses. At 3:52, Europa's transit begins. At 4:21 UTC, the shadow of Io ingresses. At 4:26, the shadow of Europa egresses. At 5:28 UTC, Io transit begins. At 6:37 UTC, the shadow of Io egresses. At 6:46, Europa's transit ends. And at 7:44, Io's transit ends. So from 5:28 to 6:46, Io and Europa are both in transit of Jupiter. And you'll see that on the 24 hours of Jupiter's sky. Io and Europa are very near the sun. There's one satellite mutual event, and that takes place at 2237 when Europa's shadow eclipses Ganymede. So remember, Europa is in quadrant 3, heading west. Ganymede is pretty far out, almost as far west as it's going to go. But the shadow of Europa is being cast on Ganymede. It's quite a distance. So here's 24 hours of Jupiter's sky. I got rid of the grid lines, which makes for a more realistic view. You can see that Europa and Io are past the sun a little bit there. All 4 moons in the same quadrant. See how far away the Earth appears from the Sun from Jupiter's point of view. And there's Venus here too. The size of the dots indicates their brightness. There are 3 red spot meridian crossings today. The first is at 1:59 UTC, the other is at 11:55, and the third's at 21:50 UTC. There were no new images, no new radio data, and no new papers. So please subscribe. Would very much enjoy hearing your comments. Send your images of Jupiter or the Jupiter system with the time that you took the images to the email shown. And until tomorrow, I bid you peace.